Hello. Today we are going to be using some of these envelopes and we're going to be reducing the amount of scraps we produce. I just recently picked this batch of envelopes up. I really didn't need them, and then I had to come up with ideas of how I can use them and how I can use them without creating an absolute ton of scraps. I don't want to print, cut out, stick onto my envelopes and end up with even more scraps. I want to reduce the amount of waste that I create. So let's get started. This is going to be a step-by-step tutorial on how to print directly onto your envelopes. Now, I have an EcoTank printer, and I know if you don't have the same printer that I have, your software is going to be slightly different, but the method I use will be the same for all printers. What you might need to do is do a little trial and error, and also check your printer manual for how to create the envelope sizes you need. But some of the envelope sizes will be in your printer software, and we'll look at that in a little while. The first thing I am going to say is there is a Freebie digital in my Facebook group that you can use. It's the same one that I'm going to use for the tutorial. You can also find the kits that I have used to create other envelopes in my Etsy shop, and they are going to be on sale until Friday. I'm going to put them in my shop for sale because they are perfect for this project, but you can use any printables that you have, and of course the Freebie. The first envelope I'm going to use is this DL size envelope. Okay, if you are in the States, you may have different size envelopes, but it doesn't matter. This will work whatever size you have, and I'll show you that. But the first prints we're going to do are with a DL envelope, and these are actually inside my printer software already. Is explain to you first of all how to put the envelope in your printer. Now, with the Epson EcoTank, and I'm pretty sure most other printers are going to be the same, the printable side, and we're going to do the flat side of the envelope first, the printable side needs to be face down. Now, after much trial and error, on my printer, I need the flap on the right hand side. So here's a picture of my envelope in my printer. Now we've got the envelope in the printer, let's have a look at the printer software. Here we have our paper ready to go. I've opened it in preview. Now I'm on a Mac, so you might find it's going to be different for you if you're using a PC, but you know your device, so I'm hoping you can work this out too. I'm going to go to File and I'm going to go to Print. Now this time round I'm using a DL envelope. I want the preset for printing option as default setting, plain paper. The envelopes are not glossy or photo paper, so I'm keeping my default settings. This is the next box we need to adjust. We're going to go to paper size, and this one is really easy. We just select envelope DL. Okay, you can see this does not look right, but that's fine. We've got it on scale to fit, but I'm now going to select fill entire page. And the next thing is just to press print. Okay, so here is our first part of our print. You can't print full bleed when you're printing onto envelopes. You certainly can't on my printer. I can if I'm using standard paper sizes, but not if I'm using envelopes. So I have got this white edge on my envelope. In the next part of the video, a bit later, we're going to look at how we can hide that. But for now, let's move on to print the back of our envelope. So now our envelope is in there, face up, because we need it print side down. I'm going to go to File, Print. Really straightforward this time. DL envelope again, fill entire page again, and you can see this is what's going to happen. And then we print. And there we are. We have a printed envelope. Now, the one thing you will notice is the back looks fabulous, but as soon as you open that flap, you are going to have this white line, which probably isn't going to be a big issue because envelopes are designed to obviously stick down. These are fabulous if you want to send happy mail out, but you don't want to stick lots of things onto an envelope because one, it increases the weight of the envelope, and two, it makes it really difficult for it to go through the postal system because the bits fall off. This is brilliant. You can now put a sticky label on with your address. It's much lighter and it's all one envelope. So I think these are absolutely fabulous. But not all envelopes are the same size and not all envelopes are automatically in our software. So let's have a look at another envelope. So these envelopes are known as C5 envelopes. If you're in the UK, they are designed for A5 paper or an A4 sheet folded in half. Now, they are the second standard size envelope, but unfortunately they're not in my printer software. So I need to create a custom size to print on this envelope. It's really simple, but there are a few things you need to make sure you've got right. First is, this is how you will put your envelope into your printer. Print side down, okay? So we've got our C5 envelopes. This is how it goes into the printer. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to do is measure my envelope. So our envelope it's approximately 162 millimeters. And I'm doing this first because this is the first measurement we put into the software. And across here we have 230 millimeters. Now, if you're in the States, your printer software may be set to inches. You do exactly the same thing. You would measure it in inches across both ways. And this is called obviously the height of the envelope, but in the software, this will be known as the width because we're putting our paper in this way. Let's have a look at how to put this into our printer. Our envelope is in there and ready to go. Now we're going to go to File and Print like we did before, but this time when we do our drop down, you can see there's no C5 envelope. So we're going to Manage Custom Sizes. We want this box here to be user defined, okay? So we're going to put in 162. It's millimeters on my printer software. You'll have to check yours. And in the height, that is the width of our envelope, and that's 230. So the smallest value goes first. We're going to go OK. You can see that's printed pretty much the entire page anyway, but I'm still going to click Print, Fill Entire Paper. I'm then going to go to Print. So that's the first side of our envelope printed. And as you can see, we've got that white border again, but that's okay. Now let's look at what to do to print the back. The front of the envelope is printed. It's now in print side down, flap to the right again. So we go File and Print. This time, when we go to Manage Custom Sizes, our previous size is going to be there. So if you're printing lots of envelopes, you won't have to keep adding this, but you do need to change to custom size every time and then OK. We'll go back to our Fill Entire Paper and we'll print. And there we go. We have our envelope printed front and back. And again, it's very lightweight. Now, the one thing I've probably said already, but you have to use your standard paper setting. It doesn't look as crisp and as bright as it does if you're printing onto photo paper, but you do need to print it on plain paper. It still looks pretty good, I think, anyway. Now, if you are concerned about the amount of ink you are using, All printers again will have this option. I'm going to show you a couple of screenshots of the Epson EcoTank, but if you're using another printer, you can find out how to do it in your printer manual or by Googling. Now what I've done here is I've printed this exactly the same way I printed our DL envelope. Once I have hit that fit print full page, I'm just going to show you the screenshots for how to change your printer quality so you're using a lot less ink. Now we've done that, I'm just going to go through a few of the others that I have printed and how I actually worked this out. Obviously, I've made that mistake where I printed it and then I put it into print again, but I didn't print the back the first time round. I printed the front twice. And what I was doing is I was making a note, flap on the right, and this is a DL. So I was making notes as I was going through what was working and what was not working. And if you haven't got the same printer, you can do the same process. So the first envelopes that I went ahead and printed was I used some of those DL envelopes and I used my kit Compendium Mark II. Now, I did 3 envelopes at once and you can see what happened when I tried to pull 3 envelopes through. I didn't have my bars pushed right against my envelope, so this one didn't come through straight. Just something to be wary of. It doesn't mean this is wasted. There's lots we can still do to this envelope to make it usable, but those are all of the backs. So this is one of the kits that will be on sale temporarily in my shop, but I absolutely love those. There's a lot we can do with those envelopes. I then did exactly the same thing again. Didn't learn from my mistake the first time. Didn't put the bars correctly against my envelopes. But this is the Compendium kit. And you can see that's the front. And this is the backs. I did print the same paper twice on this one. But I absolutely love them. I think they're fabulous. So happy with those. Now you can see on here we've got a little bit of an error, and that's where that one didn't come through correctly the first time round. Again, just something to be mindful of if you're printing more than one at a time. So this was my test on the customs, and I made a few mistakes, as you can see. This one, the first thing I tried was just printing A5 onto my envelope, and as you can see, I've got a really big border on that one, so that didn't work. This one, I had my measurements in the custom box the other way round, and you can see it's printed this way. I could have changed the orientation in my printer, but I decided that was a little bit more complicated than I wanted. And this one again, what I did was I printed 2 on the same side, so that was a big boo-boo. Plus I didn't quite have the right sizes in my boxes. But these are some of the ones I printed that came out brilliantly. I absolutely love these. These again are the C5 envelope, and if you are creating notebooks with envelopes, this is perfect because you've already got both sides ready to go. You don't have to use extra paper, which of course you might want to do if you want to make this more sturdy, but if you just want to reduce the scraps you make, you've got an envelope there ready to go and already printed. The next ones I did were a kind of card style envelope. So I picked 3 of those, and because they were a cream colour, I decided to, I've only done 2. I decided to print the Pretty Patchworks. This is my Pretty Patchworks kit, and I absolutely love these. I think they would look amazing as Happy Mail, but if you can imagine those on the page of a journal, I just think they're going to look absolutely beautiful. And then I thought I'd really push my luck, and I'd try a craft coloured envelope, and this one was much bigger, and then I did a flap at the top, so that's why it's upside down. But this particular paper, again, this is Compendium Mark II, doesn't really matter. Everything is upside down, sideways and the right way up, so it really doesn't matter that that's upside down. And then I did 3 using the Relics, Collage Relics kit, and I absolutely love them. These, I think, are my favourites. So that is another kit, and again, that one will also be on sale in my shop. And then finally, I thought they would look extremely pretty using the fabulous florals, and they do. Really happy with how these came out. And again, these are kind of the card style envelope for greetings cards. So no scraps. I haven't created a load of scraps because I've printed onto paper and then stuck them onto my envelopes. And also these are a lot lighter weight and ready to go. So I thought we could decorate some. Okay, this is from my Bumper Birds kit that I've recently bought out. And I just thought it would be fun to do something really, really simple. We don't want to make these envelopes really heavy now we've spent time making them lightweight. I want to use this particular DL envelope that I've printed and use maybe one of these blue birds because I think they're going to look fabulous. And like I said, I'm keeping this super simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my brush and I'm going to use Vintage Photo for this. I'm not going to use a really dark ink at the moment. Blend in where the printing ends and we've got that white edge. I'm really happy with that. I like that. I think we should do maybe one of these two. This one is the print with very little ink on, and I'm not actually going to ink this. I'm going to leave this very plain, and I'm going to go for this lovely bird here. And I'm not worried about covering up that text. Keeping this one very white. So let's pick a bird for this one. I think I'm going to go for that. Grabbed my labels. I'm not going to use any scraps on these. I want to keep them simple and lightweight for postage. Also, if you're making a journal and you don't want it too bulky, you don't want to put too much in here. So let's see what we can add. This got a little bit out of hand. It's a really long story how this all happened, but I do have way too many labels now. Have to use these up. I'm going to just cut the edges off this one. Okay. Quite like that. Okay, like I said, I'm going to keep these really simple. Just going to ink these pieces and stick them down. Okay, I've very lightly inked these. I haven't put a lot of ink on those. Let's grab my glue. So there are my two envelopes, so light compared to other envelopes that I have made. Now, I just thought this one is obviously, we've gone a bit heavier with the ink. We're using more ink in general. So I just grabbed a little piece of lace and a little flower to add to this, because this one will probably go into a journal and I want this to kind of stick out the top really. Is add some glue and add my lace trim. Add some glue to the back of my flower. And there we go. There we have our two very simple envelopes, embellished and ready to go. Fabulous in a journal, fabulous in pockets, fabulous to send out in Happy Mail. And just to show you, I mean, any of these, you know, adding a bird, adding a butterfly, keeping it really simple, but using a really nice collage paper to print onto your envelopes, it just reduces so much of the work and the effort. And no scraps. I haven't produced any waste. I know I've cut these birds out previously, but in terms of making these envelopes, the paper, no scraps at all. I really hope you enjoyed that, and I will be back for a bigger project and lots more smaller projects like this. Most of them will be using file folders and envelopes. I've got a lot to use. Take care and see you soon. Bye.